Woo! Hello, it's me, Tyler. Obviously, just me today. So we're gonna try something different. Yeah, let's get intimate with it, right? On a serious note though, Ilya is actually not here, so it will be just me for this video. I thought I would take some time to make this little, video about, no, that just doesn't work. It's easier to bounce off of Ilya when he's here, but essentially what I would like to do is have a conversation and give you folks 5 tips that kind of give you a sense of how you could get into a hobby, how you could get more particularly into the board game hobby. But here we go. I think that's the intro. Let's do this. So, for the first tip that I want to talk to you about today, I think getting started in the board game hobby often for a lot of us starts with a classic, or what some people might term a gateway game. Either way you can think about it, most people have heard of Catan. Most people have heard of Ticket to Ride. You can start with those games, and I definitely recommend looking at things like Monopoly, Scrabble, those types of games too. The Hasbro classics, as I would like to call them. I think when we go to play a game, if we start with those, they represent a lot of what the hobby was inspired by. I'm not saying that every game you come across is going to be like a Ticket to Ride. It's going to be like a Catan. But you will be able to play a game and get a sense of what did you like? What didn't you like? Did you like the negotiation? Did you like the resource building? Did you like the goals that you were able to go through? I think that sets apart a lot of different things for people. And then you can move towards getting into something that might be adjacent to those games. So like if you like resource management games, you're gonna want to go down those paths of different resource management games. Which brings me to my second tip. There is so much information out there. We all know this. The internet is fantastic for this kind of stuff. Use the resources that you have available to you. This is really important. I think my personal go-to is BGG. There is a plethora of information on games, and there are thousands of games out there that I think we kind of take for granted, especially with the privilege that me and Ilya have, owning all the games that we do own. BGG is a really good intro into the space. It can get very, very overwhelming, but like I said in tip 1, is if you go to your classics, like most store pages, like most any kind of like hobby that you get into, YouTube even, recommended. There's always things that show up near, close to, on the same page as those games. And it'll say recommended, or other folks liked this type of game as well. And then you can just click, go down that rabbit hole, explore, don't commit too fast. Which conveniently brings me to my third tip that I would like to give everybody, and that is diversify and explore. Like I said before, you're gonna play those, if you're following along with the tips at least, you're gonna play a classic game, and then you're going to explore, or at least try and research other games that you might be interested in. Once you're able to play those types of games, if something didn't stand out to you, or if it rubbed you the wrong way, obviously I'm not going to say go explore that again, but take some time to explore down the channels that you did enjoy. Circling back, because who knows, it could have just been the game. You don't know. There's, like I said, there's thousands out there, and you kind of just want to like build from there. I think it's really important that when you are choosing certain types of games, that you are conscious of the mechanics, you're conscious of like how you are feeling when you are actually playing them, but also allowing yourself to go into different branches of these games. There's so much that happens. There's combinations of mechanics that end up happening. Some combinations you won't like. I'm not trying to tell you which games you should like and which ones you shouldn't, but I'm encouraging you to explore and diversify your collection, because once you do, you'll start to see what else out there is possible, and then you'll begin to question, it does a game like that exist? And all of a sudden, you're back on BGG, diving down into this rabbit hole, all of a sudden figuring out that there are games, in fact, that are out there that combine worker placement, resource management, and a hidden auction. Who knew? My fourth tip for everybody out there would definitely be try before you buy. This can be a little bit difficult, don't get me wrong, because it's hard to get access to some games. My point being is there's a lot of tools and things. There are a lot of things out there that you can use to gauge what you might be interested in, like the last three tips that I've gone over, except now we have access to things like BGA, Tabletopia, places where we can go to play games that are testable, that you can get a feel for it. Don't get me wrong, there's no substitution for playing a game at a table. There's no substitution for playing a game at a table. In my personal opinion, I will always choose to play a game at a table 9.9 times out of 10. Regardless, though, like I said, you want to try before you buy, and one of the ways that you can do that is using those digital tools to play and test those games to see if you actually really like it. The other thing that I would say is go to your local board game stores. Go to even your libraries that are nearby. I'm sure that they have a lot of games. At least from my personal experience, we have libraries of games that are playable, and we can try those there. We can try games that are similar to it. You kind of just have to gauge how you're feeling, and I will say that I'm giving you this tip knowing full well that as an introvert and as an anxious person when it comes to social settings, that this is not particularly my strong suit when it comes to going to local events or local stores. I get very nervous. Hobbies are usually associated, obviously, with you got to spend your money somehow, right? And we choose to spend it on board games, as I hope some of you might gather some of this information and say, hey, I could do this for a hobby as well. Last but not least, I've kind of already leaned into this, is you can look for help in the community. I think that the one thing I'll say about starting content creation in general is that we've been able to grow a community in our Discord, for example, and with other content creators that just have this vibrancy and energy that screams, let's play games. And that's always awesome, because one of the deterrents, especially for having so many games, is not always having individuals to play them with. But it's always great, especially when I have a partner that loves board games just as much, probably more than I do. I think that it's even great to lean into the other part of that community, like the Discord channels, things along those lines, because when it comes down to it, you want to enjoy a hobby with people. You want to surround yourself with like-minded people. And the way I like to frame it is that board games are just a bridge to building relationships. And it's extremely convenient. And I love that I enjoy the board game so much, because it provides me, like I said, as an introverted, social, and anxious person, an opportunity to focus in on the game, but also have friends around me where I'm able to build those relationships. Now, I kind of derailed in saying that you need to look for help within the community. What I'm trying to say is that a lot of the community will know where you're coming from. If you're starting out in a hobby, ask the questions. There are no stupid questions. I think if you are willing enough to put yourself out there, there's always going to be somebody who's going to give you a straight shot answer. They're going to give you some recommendations. Somebody's going to say, well, it sounds like you don't like this. Maybe give another game a shot. It's always great to be able to ask for recommendations. And when it comes down to it, I think what it bleeds into is that there are people out there who love the games and love everything about the hobby that they've chosen to be a part of. You just have to be willing to explore, adventure, join us in that path to loving your life a little bit more, right? Live it for yourself. Don't let anybody tell you that you're too young, too old for board games, that you don't need to be spending money on this. Don't listen to that. Enjoy what you're doing, because we're only here for a short period of time, and I think, wow, that's got deep. We're only here for a short period of time. So enjoy the games, choose the games that you want, and most importantly, be okay with leaning into the hobby. The whole intention of me making this video was to give you folks 5 tips into how to start this hobby. I think I got a little derailed and went a little bit further into some of the things that I thought I was going to, but hey, that's what this video is about, and I'm not going to apologize for it. My point being, if you want to start this hobby, 5 tips. First, start with a classic and understand what you like and don't like about that game. Second, use the online resources that you have, because BGG, for example, is an excellent resource to find those people who liked this game also enjoyed this game. So explore those options. Second of all, or third tip, diversify and explore. Remember that there are lots of games out there. There are like thousands of games released every year. So there's bound to be a game out there, whether it be a theme you're looking for, whether it be a mechanic you're looking for. Don't be afraid to just go out and look for it, and you'll be surprised what you can find. Fourth tip, try before you buy. It's important to understand, like I said, what you like, but it comes back to that resource using. Use things like BGA and Tabletopia to maybe test trial some of the games that you may think you'll like. And finally, look for help in the community that already exists. Locally, this can be for your local game store, any kind of board game conventions or events that are going on. Online, there are a lot of Discord channels. There's content creators that are like us that are always happy to give you any kind of recommendations based on what you might like. There are hobby lovers out there everywhere, and I think it's important to lean in when you find the people that love it, because you're just going to enjoy it that much more when you have more people to enjoy the hobby with. Anyways, I hope this helped. I know it was a little bit of a dragged out video, and it's a little different for us because Ilya is usually right here. But if you liked this video, please give me that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you're new here, and let me know what kind of tips you would give a fellow hobbyist who's looking to maybe start into a new hobby or start out in the board game hobby. Let me know down in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you, hopefully we will see you, in the next one. Bye!